I gotta go. I go through dumpster. So you gonna go dumpster diving with?
Took living. I'm good. I actually saw Brent.
I'm ready to slam. I threw some. Are you ready? I need measurements. I gotta.
'23 is now in session. Roll call.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Councilmember Sam.
Here.
Councilmember Evans.
Here.
Councilmember Bass.
Here.
Councilmember Anderson.
Here.
Mayor Cicerello.
You're supposed to start with me.
Sorry.
He's
Fire.
not the regular.
I'm here.
He's not the regular. Yeah.
I know, but you think he sat through enough of them? He should know the order.
Councilmember Kurtzutter.
He doesn't.
Councilmember Wilson.
Here.
Councilmember Colbert.
Here.
See, he just proved that how important our city clerk is.
Very.
My defense, the last time I did this, Mayor, you were not here.
Okay. And you're lucky. All right. Do we have a member? There we are. Please rise for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good evening. My name is Tyler O'Donnell from Faith Church, and let's go to the Lord in prayer together this evening. Father God, we come before you just thanking you for all you do for us, for giving us this great nation in which we live and this great state of Kansas in which you've planted us, and Lord, even this great city of Valley Center in which you have called us to live and work. And Lord, as we pray for the leadership here, you've called us to lead. And Lord, we know that each person in this room, you have given capacity to lead in different areas, Lord. So we pray for just the wisdom and the vision to continue to grow this great community of Valley Center, which you have called us to. Lord, we pray for our mayor, our city council, our city clerk, administrator, Lord, every person that holds a position in this city, Lord, we pray for them, from the groundskeepers that keep this city looking beautiful to just the people who work behind the scenes. We lift them up to you this evening. Lord, we pray for this time that we have together this evening, that it would bring forth fruit, and all the discussions and decisions that are being made will continue to be given great thought and wisdom in which you've given us to, Lord. We just thank you so much for all you do for us. We thank you for life and the life abundant that comes through your Son, Jesus Christ. And it's in his holy name that we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, moving on to item 5, approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 6, administration agenda, the city council meeting minutes of June 6, 2023.
Motion to approve the minutes of the June 6, 2023 regular council meeting as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. All right. We have no presentations or proclamations. So at this time, we are at the point of the meeting, which is the public forum. At this time, we allow people to come in front of the council and speak to an item that is not on the agenda. I do have 2 people who willing to speak. I'm just going to take them in the way I have them here. Leroy Crane. Camera. I do it. Thank you. Can you please just state your name and address for the record?
Name is Leroy Kammerer, 308 North Colby Valley Center, Kansas. Mayor, council members, city staff, public, press. We, American Legion Smith Phipps Post 73 Valley Center, have come today to request that the city of Valley Center grant permission for our post to place our flags and signs of the American Legion Smith Phipps Post 73 Avenue of Flags as a patriotic display for certain holidays and public events on the city's right-of-way along Meridian Avenue from Main Street south to to the City of Valley Center's Veterans Parks, or further as needed, as conditions allow, and so designate by proclamation for this time forward, beginning with Memorial Day, May 27, 2024, as long as the American Legion Smith Phipps Post 73 Valley Center is able to perform this public patriotic function for this community. Thank you.
Thank you. And I know you've been made aware that we can't officially make a decision during the public forum, but I see no reason why this will not go forward, and we will make an official motion for it at our next meeting. Okay? So
Thank you.
if you need to, if you're going to do it for July 4th, I feel pretty confident that it'll be okay.
It's not this year.
All right.
It's
But
because of the
construction.
construction.
And yes, and actually, I think that's going to be a good idea. But we were talking before you showed up that I think once the streetscaping's all done, that the flags will look really even better in that area up north. So
This is south.
Thank you.
He's wanting south.
yeah, I know. But moving them back later, I know. Yeah, no, it was yeah. All right, our next person is Sasha Randolph. Please state your name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Sasha Randolph. I am actually at 2663 East Sunny Slope Court in Park City, but I'm here representing the Valley Center Booster Club. I am the incoming president for the high school Booster Club. This evening, I have sent a proposal that I know is not going to be voted on tonight, but I just wanted to mention it for consideration. So dear city council members, our proposal is exciting. It's a beneficial fundraising event that will bring our community together while supporting a worthy cause. The event we are titling Back to School Bash aims to raise funds for the Valley Center High School Booster Club and contribute to the betterment of our beloved city. Event overview will include the Back to School Bash as envisioned as a one-day extravaganza event that will be held on August 5th, 23, from 12 p.m., which is setup time, to closing and cleanup by 11 p.m. And we're proposing it be on Main Street. So the event will feature a variety of activities, attractions, including live performances from our high school drama department. Local vendors will be there, food trucks, children's entertainment, and interactive games. The primary objective of this event is to foster community engagement, promote local businesses, and raise funds for our incoming school year. The purpose and beneficiaries, the proceeds from this event will be donated 100% to the Valley Center High School Booster Club. It's a reputable nonprofit organization that we have that is dedicated to our mission. Our mission which is to have a positive influence of the lives of the Valley Center High School students by providing encouragement, support, and funding to enhance the academic, athletic, and fine arts experiences of our students. We promote citizenship, sportsmanship, and community involvement. So by supporting this event, our community will actively contribute to the organization's efforts to fund the many student-led projects, scholarships, activities, and uniforms throughout the year. In the past 5 years, the Booster Club has continued to donate over $30,000 per year to the various student clubs and participants. So we do understand that there is going to be some traffic and street closure issues. So we have recognized the impact of the temporary closing of Main Street on local traffic and businesses. Therefore, we have devised a comprehensive traffic management plan to minimize disruption and ensure smooth traffic flow. The proposed street closure will be limited to Main Street between Park and Ash. Our detour signs will be placed strategically, and we will work closely with the local law enforcement to direct traffic and assist pedestrians during that event. For community engagement and participation, we are aiming to engage a diverse range of community members and local businesses in the event. To ensure inclusivity and encourage participation, we will effectively collaborate with our community organizations, schools, local artists, and entrepreneurs. Furthermore, we will reach out to sponsors and seek their support in making this event a resounding success. Volunteers will be an integral part of the event, contributing their time and expertise to facilitate smooth operations. Safety and security measures will be in place. We've already started making calls to make sure that our safety and security are paramount for the consideration of this event. We will collaborate with law enforcement agencies to ensure safety of attendees, vendors, and the participants. Adequate medical personnel will be present on site to handle any emergencies, and fire safety measures will be strictly adhered to. The funding and resources, we understand where there'll be implications associated with the closing the Main Street for the event. So therefore, we have developed a comprehensive fundraising to plan to cover event expenses. This includes seeking sponsorship for the local businesses, engaging in grant applications, and soliciting donations from the community members. We are confident that with the support of our generous community, we'll be able to meet the necessary funding requirements. So we kindly request that you consider this proposal and grant permission for the temporary closure of Main Street for the Back to School Bash. We believe that this event will have a positive impact on our community, fostering unity, support local businesses, and raising funds for a deserving cause. We are open to discussing any concerns and suggestions you may have and appreciate the opportunity to present this proposal in person at tonight's City Council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we make sure this is on the next meeting's agenda for an official approval?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, moving right along. We have no appointments, no old business. Let's move on to new business. Item A, Resolution 735-23, Nottingham Development Agreement and IHD Amendment.
Good evening. Dominic Eck with Gilmore and Bell, Bond Council of the City. Thank you for having us tonight. Tonight we have a resolution that would approve two documents, a development agreement amendment number 1 to the development agreement previously entered into related to the Prairie Lakes TIF project, and a new development agreement with Nottingham Estates LLC related to that same project. So essentially what's happening is some of the obligations to build about 140 odd homes are being shifted from the original development group to a new development group. Along with that, the obligation to supply the letter of credit, a portion of the letter of credit that is held to secure the TIF bonds that have been issued would be transferred from the old development group to this new development entity. The original development group would retain the balance of the obligations, especially related to the northern portion of the property. And so really what this is just doing is taking a slice of that development on the south side and putting it in the lap of this this kind of substitute developer, if you will. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Council, do we have questions? Councilmember Gregory.
You alluded to it, but I would like to know the specific property that you said just the south part of the property?
Yeah, so it's the southern portion, the Prairie Lakes kind of original property. There's a specific section of that this development team would be taking over. Nothing on the northern portion that's completely undeveloped as of now. That would stay with that original development team.
So
this would be the entire remaining Prairie Lakes subdivision. And so all those lots in total 142 lots is who Nottingham is going to be taking over. And so what you already have approved and what's under construction currently in Prairie Lakes with this developer with Nottingham is the 20 lots, 24 total lots, but only 20 of them are developable right now, with 4 remaining still in the floodplain. But taking everything east to Seneca Street off of the Iron Horse letter of credit and transferring it to the Nottingham letter of credit. This same group of this portion of the project of the total TIF. And so the total dollar amount of letter of credit does not change. It's just the allocation between whose letter of credit that we're holding. But the city is still covered 100%. Nottingham, those individuals are the same ones that we are currently working with in Sunflower Valley, and the same developer that's currently working on the piece of property that the rec center that we just closed on as well. And so it's a reputable group of investors that will be finishing this section out. Mayor,
you said east side of Seneca. Did you mean west side of Seneca?
Right, east to Seneca.
East. Okay.
East
I thought you said east side of, and I was like, wait a minute. No, that's not. That
Everywhere currently.
Right.
East
Basically, what we're seeing in the undeveloped
correct
section in that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Motion to approve Resolution 735-23, authorizing the development agreement with Nottingham Estates at Hunters Point LLC and development agreement amendment number 1 with IHD Prairie Lakes LLC.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. All right, item B, development agreement amendment number 1, IHD Prairie Lakes. Same, it's
So
just,
B and C are related, and
Yeah.
that resolution that you just adopted has approved both of those items as well.
but we need,
Yes.
Two separate
still need
motions.
the individual, okay, motions.
Make a motion to approve development agreement amendment number 1 between the City of Valley Center and IHD Prairie Lakes LLC and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Let me shut this off. There we go. And item C, development agreement with Nottingham Estates at Hunters Point LLC, Prairie Lakes.
Attorneys.
Council,
Move to approve the development agreement with Nottingham Estates and authorize mayor to sign.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. All right, item D, resolution 736-23, amending resolution 726-22 for Sunflower Valley improvements.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Jake Basha with SEH. This is amending the resolution for the petition for the sanitary sewer for this development. Kind of the catalyst for this additional cost that's being applied to these or as part of the sanitary sewer is the addition of additional sanitary sewer services that are connecting to the main. As you may know, this development has changed hands. And so the original developer had different ideas with sanitary sewer connections. And so this current developer would like those as a part of the special assessments. So that's basically what this is adding the sanitary sewer services as a part of these special assessments.
Councilmember Wilson.
Jake, you're going to have to explain to me what's the difference, because to me, housing and sanitary, this shouldn't be $160,000 difference. Those were homes before, they had to have sanitary. What has made this increase $160,000?
Sure. So for every home, there has to be a service that connects to the main, correct? So with our original developer, they decided to defer that sanitary sewer service connection to the, I'll call it the home building process.
Okay.
Rather than the, I'll call it horizontal process or the infrastructure process that we are going through now with the general contractor that's building the roads and the mains. So it's really, it's adding the services to each housing unit, whereas in the original developer deferred those to the housing construction portion of it. So, you know, for me, it was a little weird to have that deferred, but that's what they preferred at the time. And we reiterated that this is maybe something you want to do when you build your mains is connect all these services. You know, in hindsight, maybe I should have pushed them harder to add that to the project. But we would have changed it 3 times now because the subsequent developer originally had, as you might know, duplexes on this site. And we've since changed that plan again.
Correct.
So we've had multiple changes on this site, and this is kind of truing up everything to this point to make the site work with the single family rentals that we now have designed for the entire site.
Thank you for that explanation.
Councilmember Anderson.
So just a little further explanation, that cost for that sanitary sewer would have been charged to the builder when they built it.
Yep.
And not when we did infrastructure. So it would not have been paid through specials.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, which is unusual, to be honest, because usually you want your sanitary sewer mains or services in that go under the road prior to the road construction.
Correct.
So that's really the catalyst for all these services, is to get them under the road before the road construction happens, so that home building construction is a little less costly, I'll say, because you don't have to bore that service under the road, which is more expensive per
Correct,
service.
Okay. That's actually where I was going. So instead of really, the way it was is the big mains are there.
Yep.
But the feeders were not. And we're just putting the feeders in now as opposed to, you're right, so the little white posts that stick up that say, here's where your sewer feed comes in. Yep. Okay.
Well, and if you recall, with the developer at the time, with the 3D Homes, with them being a newer developer from the ground up, vertical construction, they're trying to eliminate any extra cost and expense in the initial phases, and then to build out through multiple phases of that. And so this is more of a, they're going to do all 109. They're going to do all 109 single family home rentals at the same time versus, maybe doing bits and parts of each lot. So.
Oh, that makes more sense. Just the way the things are built these days. So,
Yep.
Okay. Anything else, council?
Motion to approve change order number 1 for the Sunflower Valley improvements. The amount of
No, we're on D.
You're on the
Oh, I'm
You
sorry,
went
did I
ahead.
jump?
Sorry, the resolution.
This is the resolution first.
Sorry.
And then
Skip
Then you can make the
page.
change.
Sorry. Motion to approve resolution 736-23 regarding sanitary sewer improvements for Valley Center, Sunflower Valley Center.
Second.
I have a motion to second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-1. Now we'll move on to item E, to approve the change order for Sunflower Valley improvements. Wow.
A motion to approval for change order number 1 for Sunflower Valley improvements, the amount of $161,935.40. Authorized mayor or city administrator to sign.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Either one of them. All in favor, raise your hands. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-1. Thank you. All right, moving on to item F, ordinance 1390-23, annexation 120.1, or annexation of 127, let me try that again. An annexation of 120.17 acres southeast of Seneca and Ford.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We received a letter request to be voluntarily annexed into the city limits, the city of Valley Center. If you scroll down a little bit here, Barry. The lot, as you see, here's the ordinance. The lot is just south of Ford Street, just to the east of Seneca. Our city limits do currently abut and are adjacent to in the kind of the Tanner area, right there to the northeast of this area. So then it is able to be voluntarily annexed in without doing an island annexation. So its property owner is looking to annex it in at this time to then explore some future development of some sort.
Councilmember Anderson.
So currently, that Seneca to the west is not in the city limits, correct?
Correct.
Will we be responsible for that road then?
I believe it only goes to the side, to the ditch currently, until we then negotiate with the county to then take over the.
Because that road's a hot mess right now.
Yes, they're working on it. I know.
I understand. I just want to make sure we're not going to get that dumped on us.
So there is anticipated, I believe, during our Ford Street biweekly meetings, that the county does plan to do a mill and overlay over that whole stretch between 69th and 77th, or 69th and 4th Street in Valley Center. And so once that's completed, there may be talks at that time. But right now what they're doing is really getting that base firmed up, because they've patched and still though that base just keeps eating away underneath them. So that's why they're doing more right now to kind of prepare for that full depth.
I just wanted to make sure we knew what we were getting in when we annexed this and it wasn't dumped on.
Well, the other side is still the county though.
That's right on. That's right. Right on.
Right. The other side's still county though, correct? That's
Yes.
still, so,
To the west of this.
so yeah, we don't have enough. They're not going to give us the road.
Okay. I just wanted to be clear up front to make sure we're not
Or we won't take it. Won't take it. All
looking out for our guys
right.
and
Partnerships.
gals. Yeah.
Partnerships.
All right. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve for first reading ordinance 1390-23, annexing approximately 120.17 acres.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. Do we have any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Item G, ordinance 1391-23, annexation of 59.75 acres southeast of Seneca and Ford.
Good evening once again, Mayor and Council. This property is directly to the south of the one you just had your first reading on. This parcel is 59.75, give or take, acres that will then connect us in the city limits all the way down to 69th Street if it does pass the first and second readings. I'll stand for any questions.
Councilmember Wilson?
I'm going to, Barry, could you go back to the map there real quick? I guess I have a question. Oh, go back up just a smidge. The small tan box right above the 120.17, that box right there. I take it there's not been any annexation talks there. Can I just,
So
no.
No. And so that property is currently listed for sale. Currently they're not interested in having it annexed until that potential land sale goes through or transaction when they're then will need utilities potentially. So have had conversations with that property owner, just not something they want to voluntarily do at this time.
I was going to say, we had conversation with them when we were talking about the Seneca Street change, correct? Okay. Thank you very much.
Anybody else?
Motion to approve first reading ordinance 1391-23, annexing approximately 59.75 acres.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you. Item H, Valley Center budget, 2024 budget, first draft.
Drum roll.
Are we all sitting down? Oh, yeah, we are.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight's our first draft of the budget, so we'll jump right in. So for 2024, we did receive our evaluation during our last council meeting, but just a quick overview of valuation is basically the total assessed value of the city, everything from the cars we own, the houses, all of our personal and real property. All of those items are assessed at different rates. All residential is 11.5%, commercial properties are assessed at 25%, utilities 33%, et cetera. Our total valuation estimate for 2024 is almost 70 million, 69,926,337, which is a 9.8% increase over last year's valuation. So what's that look like? Here's our new valuation number. It's the real estate portion is made up of 557,000 of that was new construction. Some was the annexations we did the previous year, and then some was the properties that had changed use, either from residential, commercial, industrial, those kind of zoning changes throughout the year. Personal property increased quite a bit. Last year, that was around 900,000. And then the state assessed, which is the utilities, Evergy, Kansas Gas, things like that, that increased about 150,000 overall as well. So with that new valuation number, that sets our revenue neutral rate at 49.947. As a reminder, we would have to levy that to generate the same taxes as we did this year. Here's our overall final valuation numbers for the 23 budget year, which is the 22 taxes. It went slightly up. It was 54.848 is what we budgeted. Due to those adjustments in the appeal process, it finaled out at 54.856 for that 3.4 million number. Give us our final assessed valuation number, and then we had a 1.62% delinquency rate, which means we collected 98.4% of what we levied. For our TIF district, it did increase a little bit this year. Our base valuation was 32,000. It is now valued at 56,158. So it's an increase of 24,000 since we started. And keep in mind that 100% of that increase over that base is what goes to pay that debt service that we issued for the TIF district. So a quick view here, the difference between the 2 years at 9.8%. So what's that do to my taxes? On a $200,000 home, your city portion comes out to $1,261. If we were to levy the revenue neutral rate, that's an increase of about $112 over the course of the year. Here's how the revenue neutral rate breaks down. If you enjoy math, spend some time on the slide. It just breaks down the whole process of how we get to that number. Here's our mill levy estimates for next year. 23 is this year and 24 next year, obviously. Total mill stays the same. That does not change. There are slight changes with each mill levy for each fund there. That is based on the property tax rebates that we do. Each fund is responsible for a portion. That portion is transferred to the general fund. That's why the general fund looks pretty steady there on the mills. Our property tax rebate increased. Those mills increased just a little bit for general fund to pay that. This is a quick overview of our taxing funds. They're listed here, mainly funded by ad valorem property taxes, sales taxes, alcohol taxes, our alcohol distributions, sales tax, county gas tax, and state gas taxes. Here's our valuation increases per fund broken out of our 5 taxing funds. Pretty straightforward with the general fund, and then increases overall down the road there. So start with the library. The expenditures right now are set at $345,000. We intentionally over budget this fund. That way, if we do collect more, we can shift that straight through to the library. So even though it does say $7,779 negative to fund balance, that'll end up being maybe $100 plus the fund balance when everything settles out. We just budget high so we can transfer everything over throughout the year. Bond and interest fund. Our expenditures next year look really good in here. We're only scheduled to drop down about $28,000 in fund balance. To keep in mind, back in fiscal year 20, when we first started here, we were looking at needing to bump up our mill levy for bond and interest to 18.5 in order to generate that $1.1 million annually to pay our debt service. Well, each subsequent year with our valuation increases and our growth, that goal was reduced to 16.5. That goal was then reduced to 14.5. Now that goal is reduced to keeping it exactly the same at 14.131. So we do not need to levy any more taxes to pay off all these projects that we have going on that are specifically funded by property taxes.
Can you say that one more time? Nice and slow so everybody can hear you.
Yes, sir. We do not need to raise any more taxes to pay for the debt service supported by tax dollars.
Thank you.
Period.
Thank you.
Actually going down just a tad. 14.131. So one thing. Chart's really hard to see, sorry. So this is our mill levy analysis that we put together. This is all of our existing debt service payments here. Here's our projected debt service through 25, which covers the Meridian, Sunflower Valley, all the specials projects, everything we got going on, TIF, everything. This is now our total annual debt service payments. Here's all of our revenue sources coming in, our net debt service, and our fund balance. So as you see here, keeping the mill levy, last year what we budgeted was 14.471, actually came in at 14.131. If we keep that exactly the same, our fund balance only drops as low as 777,000 before it rebounds rather quickly. And then we can just do that many more projects at that point in time. That's keeping it exactly stagnant. No increase, decrease, just let it ride. At our comprehensive budget discussion, I'll dive into that a little bit more. But for now, it's looking great right where it's at. So our employee benefit fund, this is our fund that we levy taxes for to pay all of the payroll taxes, capers, our retirements, Medicaid, FICA for all of our general fund employees. Fiscal year 22 last year, it was a pretty high year when it came to health insurance claims. It's one of the highest years we've ever had. Just when you're self-funded, it's usually that 1 out of every 5 years you're going to have a spike, and that just happened to be 22. Luckily, we have that fund balance in there, around $400,000 right now, to cover any high fluctuations, and we also share those claims costs with streets, water, and sewer, so everything finalized out pretty well to where we're going to come in pretty even for this year, even after that high year in 22. Our emergency equipment fund, this has a dedicated 1 mil levy. This covers all of the public safety equipment expenses, fire expenses, fire gear, hoses, everything in that nature. Looking good there. No issues. Going to add to fund balance as of right now for next year. Our general fund revenue sources. These aren't looking too bad at all, actually. Coming in quite well. If you see that license and permits line, it fluctuates quite a bit. But at that point, that's where our sales tax income is housed for the general fund. So as we know, that one is very volatile. But over the past few years with inflation and everything else like that, it keeps going up. So we've adjusted those for 23 in our revised budget. And then for 24, we're keeping it around that $700,000 mark for our sales tax revenues in that area. But everything else is looking good there. Our expenditures here, just a comparison from 21 to 24, what's being requested. It does go up about $500,000 from our 22 actual numbers. But keep in mind, that does include new employees, new firefighters, our new code inspector employee, all of our increased costs over time with that inflation. The benefits we've all focused on heavily over the past year and a half, salary, wages, everything like that. So here are all the requests summarized for the 24 budget. The two items with the asterisk next to it, those are already in those general fund expenses presented in that last slide. The others, we're still trying to figure out exactly where we want to move those around to, whether it's utilizing special parks and rec fund or the special alcohol fund or reserves or possibly land bank money. Just tonight, kind of want to get your feedback on those requests for the 24 budget to get an idea of if we need to look at other funding sources rather than utilizing the general fund for those. Some other general fund budget impacts. Our new handbook we passed. Great benefits for all of our employees, but that does come with a cost on the backside. We do have a sick leave payout option now for anyone with 10 plus years of service. You do get your sick leave paid out at a certain percentage. We do have to budget that. Do we think we're going to use that every year? No, not at all. I think we'll have quite a bit of notice for those employees that are maxed out on their sick pay when they plan to retire, et cetera. So we can work that in the budget in those future years. But for next year, we don't plan on or foresee utilizing that at all, but we must budget for it. There's the standby pay, callback pay, clothing reimbursement, shift differential, those are the impacts there. Our housing incentive program and our commercial housing incentive program, those increased substantially this year, but that is all because of Builders First Source. They have added so much over there. It is great for the city. Great. It's adding so much valuation, especially in that commercial sector. It'll help us a lot in the long run moving forward. So utilizing that rebate was a good call there. That tax abatement rebate program, it's about topped out. I think I see it at $158,000 for 25, and then it'll start coming back down. As more houses fall off, more houses come on, it'll probably stay even there moving forward. And then our annual salary increases, that's just a department breakdown for those. Special streets and highway looks pretty straightforward, pretty standard, mirroring 2023. Light decrease, about $1,500, something like that. Cruise there. So go on to enterprise funds. So all of our utility funds. Water, looking great. The water subsidy has been removed. Sewer, wastewater has now reached a point funding wise that can handle 100% of that debt service payment on its own. Water does not need to subsidize that, which is actually a couple years earlier than first anticipated, which is going to be great for now stocking up funding for the water treatment plant project with the water fund. Overall, looking at $80,000 decreased fund balance, but we're still maintaining that reserve transfer that can be moved up or down, and the crucial infrastructure repair projects like the well maintenance program, the water meters, and the hydrant replacements. Wastewater, to piggyback off the water fund, it is now going to pay for 100% of that debt service payment for the 2019-1 GEO bond, which was the huge plant upgrade at the wastewater plant with the new clarifier and everything like that. It still maintains the UV bulb replacement program, looking at some major system improvements for next year, lift stations, sewer linings. And then we'll start to look at the aeration basin project, see if we can work that into the funding program 5 to 7 years from now when that 2009 loan falls off. Maybe we can replace it with that exact amount, keep everything just moving forward at the same rate. It'd be great. Stormwater, keep in mind in 21, we did reduce that fee from $8.12 to $8. It has remained flat. That is scheduled to remain flat through 24. I don't see it going up at that point either. We'll just have more of that annual generated revenue from the stormwater fee to put towards our projects to put more cash up front on those. And for 24, we're still looking at a 75,000 allocation to CIP, and then the 50,000 a year to put towards meridians until we bond that to help offset those stormwater portions. So we only have to permanent finance a lower amount than what we're looking at right now. Solid waste, pretty straightforward. Goes up 2%. Our revenues go up 2%. We did budget for a utility bill folding machine this year. I don't know if we'll be able to use that this year, so we just shifted that over to the 24 budget. That's the only request from there. So here's just the recap of our enterprise funds, the requests there. If you want to touch on ARPA real quick, we have spent that small portion, and then a couple meetings ago, we did allocate the remaining amount of our ARPA funding towards that water treatment plant. So we have met that 2024 allocation deadline. We just have to spend it by 2026, which I don't see that being a problem. So next steps, get some feedback from the council on the first draft, on those department requests. What you think, what do you want to see moving forward? And then on July 11th, we'll bring all that back and dive in a little bit deeper during that comprehensive budget discussion.
Council? Wow. Really?
Dale's gone.
So, well, actually, I do have something. Now, we've ran into a bit of a situation with the money that the 300,000 we give the roads department, right? This year, we ended up taking a little bit out of your amount, and the council at that time the consensus seemed that that was probably something we shouldn't do. Therefore, I would like to propose a charter ordinance or just an ordinance. Charter ordinance, only reason I say charter is because it would need a supermajority to overrule it in the future. I believe I would have a supermajority to pass it to save that money and not allow removal without full governing body support. If that's something I thought about listening to that conversation we had, that we should probably write it in the ordinance that money doesn't go away without governing body support at least, or an ordinance that just says that doesn't go away without governing body approval. Because this isn't something new. It's happened multiple times over the years, and it always seems to be the same response out of council. And I really thought about it and thought, well, maybe we should have an ordinance that specifies that money can't move unless the council approves it.
That's exactly what happened this year. So are you just requesting just to be in via ordinance form or?
Yeah, just something official that, not for us, for future, that it doesn't happen without something that says in the book that money, that when that money is allocated, and it's always been every year since I've been here, that an ordinance that says that money cannot move until there's a governing body approval.
Like this year.
Yeah, right. And we did, right. But I'm just saying, no, I'm trying to make it a little more difficult for you to come ask for that. Let's put it that way. How's that? Make it a last resort type of, we have no choice, but we've got to kind of money transfer, because we do need still a lot of road work, whether you know it or not. There was a motion passed years ago when Mr. Dunn was our streets that we were going to eliminate all our gravel roads, and that has not even happened. So we've done a lot of them. We've done a lot of chip on a lot of these gravel roads, but there was a direction years ago by the governing body to eliminate all our gravel roads with solid roads. So, Councilmember Anderson.
So to clarify that, if we were to do an ordinance that would not specify an amount, but would just say whatever is allocated in the budget has to
The
be
transfer, the general fund transfer that goes to the streets department.
has to be approved by council.
Right.
Okay.
There already is.
It's in there as an ordinance?
So 50% of all of our sales tax revenue in the ordinance goes to general fund. The other 50% goes to streets. And it's to be only to be used for street maintenance, upkeep, construction, et cetera.
Right, but I thought the 300,000 gets moved from the general fund.
We just receive it straight into there. I mean, you can picture it all going general fund and half of it going over if you want to, but it's split 50% between general and streets.
Okay.
So what we've been doing the past couple of years is if you want it spelled out to where that 480,000 goes directly to the mill and overlay streets program, yes, we can do that. But right now it does go to the streets funding. What we've done the past couple of years is take that down from the 400, 480 mark to that 300, 350 mark, which basically eliminated the crack seal portion of that. And we put that towards all the projects. So since we've been doing that since 2020, it's actually saved us from having to increase that levy 2.5 mils for bond and interest for these projects. So that's what was going to dive into a little bit more next time, but just throw that out there right now. If we want it more specific, let's put it more towards mill and overlay program, crack and seal portion of that. But yes, it does split 50% right now.
Councilmember Gregory.
Okay, you wanted feedback on the general fund requests. $22,600 for the laptop requests. Does that all have to be done at once?
A big portion of that, about 13,000, yes. So we have a lease program through Dell where we lease up to around 17 laptops at a great price. It ends up being like $700 a laptop for the police vehicles. They're under warranty that whole entire time. So if anything happens to them, they overheat, battery boils over, they just replace it for free. So that's a great program there. And we've been doing that every 3 years. This just happens to be the year it's coming up for replacement.
Okay, and 50,000 for the comprehensive plan. What is that?
Ryan's the expert on the comp plan. If you want to jump into that, you can, but that's just of our first target price point on the comp plan.
Yeah, so the comprehensive plan, as you know, we have the strategic plan, which is basically 3 to 4 years, looking at different key focus areas for the community. A comprehensive plan is a little different in the fact that it looks mainly at land use and zoning. And so a consultant would be hired to write a new plan for us. These are normally written for 10 years. So it's a long range, long-term plan where we look at future growth areas, look at potentially the zoning code, and look at what we want to do as a city to further develop over the course of the next decade. And so this isn't something that's going to last for 2 to 3 years or even 4 years. This is a 10-year plan. So our current comprehensive plan does expire this year in 2023. And so we are looking at doing an update the next 10 years in 2024.
And speaking of that, since that comp plan has such a wide effect on what the city does, growth-wise, infrastructure-wise, everything else like that, we do have about $79,000 sitting in that land bank fund that we don't really have anything to use it for right now. So transferring that money back over to the general fund and then using that to move forward to that comp plan and give us that vision, that path to follow over the next 20 years, I think that'd be a good use of that funding. Something to think about.
I definitely think we need to leave in the trees for Meridian.
Most definitely.
That's all I have.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
So we have an asterisk next to the 20,000 for additional. That's an annual cost for lighting. What do we have? Is that just for power? What's 20,000? Is that? I guess
That'd be
explain
for
that.
new lights added to along Fifth Street from High Point or kind of Fillers Creek all the way to Broadway.
Okay.
And then also on Ford Street from Ramsey, where it currently ends, all the way to Broadway. And so those are two major corridors that
Like
aren't lit.
street lights is what
Those
we're
are
talking-
street
okay,
lights. Yep.
I'm sorry.
And so Evergy charges cities per pole, per light, per meter, about $24, $26 per month. So, it's kind of one of the reasons why we are so dark.
And this was, I believe, a request of mine a few years ago when I was a council member to light up that, because we're putting these walk paths in and, for people, and we're not lighting the street enough and it's kind of dark. And so, okay.
I will not include the area on Fifth, but the new subdivision in the TIF district, once that's built, then that's when those lights would be added to that area. Of course, with our franchise agreement being an annual renewal currently with Evergy, these are all topics that can be discussed and negotiated while we still try to figure out exactly what direction we want to go in the electricity world.
Okay. Thank you. I just wanted an explanation on that because
it's extremely dark.
That's not what I was envisioning. So I just wanted some explanation on it. So
I can't even count how many times I passed Seneca on Ford Street when I first got here because I didn't realize it came so quick. So.
Anybody else? I see none. I guess, it's typical. You've done great again. You have since you've been here. So I guess we'll go through the detail on the June 11th, and Councilmember Kerstetter will be back. So I'm sure he'll have some things to discuss. He's always, that's why I brought him back. Okay. That's the reason he's here. Because I know he picks through this stuff with a fine tooth comb. So, all right. You did not need any motion or anything on that, right? It was just.
No motion there.
Okay.
Come back on July 11th, do the comprehensive discussion, and then 1 week later, we will have to have that decision for the intent to exceed the revenue neutral rate to send to Sedgwick County by the 20th. That's the next steps. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Item 12, consent agenda.
Motion to accept consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Moving on to staff reports. Mr. Schrack.
Good evening again. Just very quickly, just wanted to remind the council that we do have an opening on the city's Economic Development Board. As of tonight, unfortunately, we haven't received any applications yet. We do still have some time. We will be accepting applications through June 28th. So again, that is posted on our city's social media pages. But if you do know of anyone that would be interested in serving on the Economic Development Board, please steer them in that direction. There is a link to the online application. For this open position, we do have 3 positions that can live in or outside of city limits. So this position that's been vacated is one of those open positions. So even if this person, even if you know someone that doesn't live in Valley Center, but has, again, very broad parameters, just an economic interest in seeing the community thrive economically, please encourage them to submit an application to serve on the board. The Economic Development Board does meet on the first Wednesday of every month at 1 o'clock. We meet virtually for every quarter, the first 2 months of the quarter, and then the last month of that quarter, we do try to meet in person. So again, if you do know of anyone, that it will be open until June 28th, and then hopefully we receive some applications and we'll present that to council at some point in July. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Owings.
Mayor, good evening, Mayor and Council. I've got some really good news for anybody who has kids and love to go over to Lions Park. The playground equipment project that was we've been working on over there to have the port in place repaired and replaced, and the big purple tube slide that has been down for quite some time is now complete. We are just waiting on the rubber surfacing portion of it to dry and cure, and it'll be open Friday. So we'll have right now it currently has safety fence down. So project that is a little bit long overdue, but weather constraints, working with contractors, finding a few things out that, little hiccups along the way on the contractor side. They've been great to work with despite those issues. So we're really pleased that the project went well and it's complete. Also wanted to mention that we've kind of started soft kickoff on our other welcome sign at 77th and Broadway, working with Mr. Clark, Mr. Eggleston, and our sign company, George Lay, to get that underway. Public Works has been down doing a lot of legwork, removing some trees, clearing some brush with their equipment, and making the taking some preparatory steps with utilities and so on. And dirt's going to be moved probably within the month or so, roughly end of July. So we're looking forward to that, and just wanted to give you an update on that. Stands for any questions.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Chief Newman.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So last council meeting, the flock cameras came up, and I thought I would share a little story with you from yesterday. Yesterday, Officer Barry was working first shift, and he had a flock hit on a stolen tag. He was able to locate that vehicle and make a stop. As a result, he made an arrest and uncovered numerous other potential crimes that span between Valley Center and northern Oklahoma. So it ended up being a big deal that took some time, and we're still investigating. It's going to take a little more time, but it's just a positive outcome from a flock hit, and I thought I'd share that with you.
I'm surprised he stopped. They usually don't if they got that much behind them. Just a second, Chief.
Chief, don't run off real quick. Can you share a little more detail for the public as to how that worked? How was the officer notified from the flock camera, and how quickly was he notified to be able to find that vehicle?
So there's two ways that we get notifications. You get a text alert for those who have it set up for text, or an email. I get both. Most of the officers get both, text and email. It's pretty much instantaneous on the text. And then it's up to the officer to if they're in the area. Yesterday, I don't think he was too far away from the camera, or he's in the general vicinity. But once you get that alert, then they have to still develop probable cause. In this case, he was able to run the tag and see that tag was indeed still stolen. And that was his cause for the stop.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Eggleston. I thought he was going to hit you over the head with that or something. Huh?
So we touched base a little bit on this when we first came in. So if you haven't noticed, you haven't been driving up and down Meridian much, but in the last week, you noticed there was a whole bunch of metal pipe along the road, and then all of a sudden there wasn't pipe again. And now there's metal pipe again. So to explain that, they're putting in a new gas line in preparation for the Meridians project. The last section that was laid out was to go in the ground from just north of the Methodist Church all the way up to just before 2nd Street. Now they have to, the difference is when they bore water pipe, they can put one piece at a time in the ground. This gas pipe, they have to weld all these pieces together, and then that one whole section has to go in the ground at once. So this next section will go from 2nd Street all the way up to just outside of City Hall here. That'll go in the ground. They told me today that should be in the ground by the end of this week. The next big step, the next big intrusive step will be starting tomorrow, the southbound lane on Meridian from Main to City Hall will be closed, and they'll transfer that southbound traffic over to the left-hand turn lane. Then they'll come in, they'll close this entrance to City Hall, this alley entrance. They'll have to dig a big hole over here, big hole on the east side of the street. And they'll have to bore under Meridian to bring that gas main over to the east side, connect into what's existing there. They'll have to do that 2 or 3 more times along the Meridian project. And then that will be the most intrusive part of the gas main project will be over. After that, then they'll be doing services. And as I explained to the mayor earlier, when they do services, they plan as often as they can, they plan to do what they call bottle the services. So basically they can bring a bottle of gas, pressurized gas, hook it just outside the house. So hook the house up to that bottle. House will run on that bottle of gas, all your pilot lights, everything will keep running on that bottle while they go back here, disconnect their service from one main, connect it to the other main, then they go disconnect that bottle and they don't have to go back in the house. They'll still have to go in some of the houses, but they're going to try to bottle as many as they can to be as least intrusive as possible.
I thought that was pretty cool. So.
This was presented to us today. Yeah, this was brought to us today. We received a nice plaque from Panemic, thank you, for our People's Choice Award, for
our water tower.
Water tower.
Wow.
As many pains as there was in that project, it sure ended up being a beautiful site coming into the city. I think it turned out really, really well.
Yep, it did. All right. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
All right, Mr. Shear.
Oh, Rodney, real quick.
Well, again, this is twice now.
Update on Ford. Are we still on schedule for end of July opening?
Yeah, we talked today. It would be the end of July. They're talking substantial completion by July 14th. They're talking there, but complete and open by the end of July. Yes, we still are on track.
Okay, perfect.
They're moving right along.
I saw concrete's up to Ford Street
It
in 2 of the
is, yeah.
spots. Yep.
Yeah, seeing concrete coming up to Broadway. That's nice.
Yep.
It should be done with all the pours and in the main section, the remaining part of the actual roadway by the end of next week. Then, of course, all the backfilling, all striping, all, cure time, all that stuff. And so that's what delays it. But they should be done actually pouring by the end of next week.
That's good, because then they give a couple weeks for it to be roadworthy to cure.
Yeah.
Give her 5 to 7 days, or
And like he said, there's signs and striping. And
Yep.
Speed limit staying 45 on that?
I believe so.
Okay. Yeah. Hadn't had anything come in front of the council, but for difference, but okay.
I would suspect at some point that'll come down with those developments, with arts development eventually, depending on the amount of traffic but who knows? You don't have to answer it.
I said that'll be up to the mayor council. It's one of the reasons why, I'm always a big fan of right turn lanes, left turn lanes, to get people off the roadway. And so, that'll be really ultimately a decision with the recommendation of the chief, but really the mayor and council on what your direction is. But that's why we have right turn lanes, left turns, come off the.
We'll see how the traffic, right. It's just wait and see. It won't happen. It's going to be a while before that whole development's filled and there's actual full flow traffic in and out. So.
Do want to remind the public as well that, this project started after Fall Fest last year. And so the actual road work, water lines, all those things on Ford Street, all this has happened in less than a year. And so I know that it seems like it's taken forever, but actually when you think about it, we're going to end, far earlier than, than a 1 year, 12-month mark that you usually see in that long of a stretch of road. For a full depth. And so that's one of the reasons why, doing the full closure, a lot of times is just easier to rip that Band-Aid off, get that done, and you can be driving and having, back to the same quality of life in less than a year.
Thank you. Mr. Shear. Mr. Vasa, anything else?
A couple updates on projects in town. So Sunflower Valley, we mentioned that on the change order. So substantial completion for that development is scheduled for mid-August. So August 15th is when we'll start with dry utilities and potentially vertical infrastructure at that point. Prairie Lakes, that first phase, first 24 lots, that one is also under construction, scheduled to be complete the first week of July if it stops raining. So we'll see where that goes, but basically we have paving left on that. So Kansas Paving will be in to finish that up here in the next, start seeing vertical construction on that one as well. The only other project we have going on right now to close out is we do have our study for the wastewater treatment facility with Rod, and we've communicated everything in the study to staff, but we need to finalize the document, and I was planning on summarizing it for you folks at a future meeting. So.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Smith. Mr. Clark.
Did want to let the mayor and council know that tomorrow, mark your calendars, if you are available for lunch, the Chamber of Commerce still has some open spots. I know that they're catering in E&J's Eatery at the church. So it will be at the United Methodist Church on 5th Street. And then also Idea Tech is the one that is sponsoring that. They'll also have a little ribbon cutting afterwards to kind of say, hello and thank you. Also, do want to give you up-to-date stats on that. Let me look real quick here. That currently, is there any guess on how much you had asked them to walk the walk? Any guess on how many feet of line they have in the ground tonight?
8,312.
10,210.
So they have a little over 30,000 feet in zone 1 already underground. And then they hope to have that zone 1 wrapped up by next week. And then they'll be splicing and getting some other stuff moving. So they have absolutely have been performing well. Our staff has to be commended on the utility side and right-of-way side for getting ahead of them, getting all the locates done in really quick time frame. So, thank you to all the departments that have had a hand in making that successful. Also, too, do want to thank the Parks and Public Buildings staff, the remaining part of the welcome sign on 5th and Broadway with the edging and the landscape around there, I think has turned out just beautiful. And so the team the crew put together a nice picture, and we put it on our Facebook page, and nothing but amazing comments, and people are really proud of that entryway sign. And so I want to thank you as well, Mayor and Council, for giving us the ability and authorizing these projects for beautification to go through and continue to go through as the survey results had shown back in 2019 that's what community really wanted, was a lot of beautification. So you are fulfilling another need of the citizens. And Neil, thank you and your staff for all your hard work. I'll stand for any questions.
Since you're there.
Yeah.
Since you brought up the sign, did I remember you saying that the lighting can do multiple and more than just white? Have we changed it at all? Every time I've gone by it, it's white. Is there like a routine you can run that can do it? Kind of like the lighting downtown, or is that just somebody's got to go out there with an app and say, okay, tonight we're going to be red?
And so that one is set up. We didn't spring for the $40,000 light unit. Is a little out of the price range.
Yeah.
So you do have to physically stand there with the app and change it. I think you can schedule it after that. I'm not sure if we've tried that or not. But that is something where I did actually stand there one night and try it, and I couldn't get it to connect. But those will really be more of a holiday feel that will change, not as a regular basis as the Main Street organization and we will do downtown. But something that does have the capability. We're still working out the kinks in that one because it is only Bluetooth only, not Wi-Fi.
Okay.
I was excited to see the fiber being laid in our neighborhood, and I believe maybe by tomorrow it'll end down at my house. So I was pretty excited about that.
Don't rub that in the mayor's face too much.
Yeah. By the way, I'm going to go cut all that fiber tomorrow. No, actually, the other question I had was I noticed they're marking up North Meridian now. There was road utility locations up on North. Is that something the school's working on? But I noticed that when I came down here this morning, or this evening.
Is it north of the middle school?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, south. It's by the intermediate school. By the tennis courts, they're flagging that area.
Apartments?
And does anybody have any idea why? I thought maybe, hey, they're really moving on the fiber. They're coming down up North Meridian already. So
We can check and get back to you on that.
I was curious because, you know, I knew that's the only project that I thought of that was going to come up that far. So not that I'm complaining, but since you mentioned that, I just thought, well, maybe they're being nice and running it down the street too.
Yeah, that could be in the.
It wasn't all marked. There was only a couple. It wasn't all the utilities because I think there was only the yellow and blue flags.
So
that would be water
they're-
though.
And so Ideatech is also in communication with USIC. And so, depending upon their schedule, they may be getting out ahead of them and marking them. So then they just have to refresh versus actually really having to go out there and hook up to everything. And so we did have a pre-con meeting with city staff as well as USIC or USC, whatever, the locate company so maybe they're ahead of them.
Yeah, I was just excited thinking maybe they've gone that far that they're already up to my spot of the house, the neighborhood. So.
Yep. Now they'll be coming in from the north too, and so that's why if you look on the maps, there are sections, north of High Point, and those areas that will be getting done and accomplished, quicker than even Fiddler's Creek or Prairie Lakes and some of those. So they're kind of hitting it from both sides.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All right, moving on to governing body report. I have nothing more. Councilmember Stamm?
I have nothing.
Councilmember Evans?
I just wanted to tell Barry, thank you very much for your presentation earlier. I know I didn't ask any questions, but it was very impressive. So thank you for continually doing such a great job with our budget.
Councilmember Bass?
Nothing from me.
Councilmember Anderson?
I don't remember where I saw it, but there was some discussion lately, and I don't remember what outlet it was, about the drought and City of Wichita's water supply. And it just refreshed our commitment to doing our own water treatment plant and what freedom that's going to give us. And I want to reiterate how important that is that we took the steps that we have to make sure we have water for the future, because it doesn't seem like it's getting better. And I think it's going to be a big fight at some point, probably sooner than later. And I'm glad we have that. We're working on an independence for us. So we're in a better position than a lot of other communities around. So just wanted to thank council and staff for commitment to that for our citizens.
Great. Councilmember Gregory?
Nothing.
Councilmember Wilson?
I'm good, sir.
Thank you. Councilmember Colbert?
Yeah, I have a few things. Today, I was listening to the staff meeting for Sedgwick County, and they talked about road closures. And there's a new project that they're doing. It's going to be a new web page with that you can even put on your phone, and it'll show all the road closings within Sedgwick County, being available probably within the next 6 months. In addition, they have a new software program that they're bringing as to where it'll notify the Parks Department and anybody else interested in learning about road closures. The other thing was culvert inventories by the city and county. They're going to, Sedgwick County is going to start checking them to see if they're up to date or if they need to be replaced or that on there. The other thing is, I don't have the exact date, and I'm going to ask the American Legion there for the exact date for the Mud Dopplers ball game with the
Thursday, June the 29th, 7 p.m.
What they're looking for is veterans to attend the event on June 29th to be lined up on the line of the park before the American Legion, before the flag actually, so that they can be honored for their services on there on the veterans. from 11 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. If anybody's interested, you can get down there and meet what's the other group?
That's military war dog.
Yeah, War Dogs on there that will be coming into the city and meet some of them. They're interested in meeting all the veterans that we can have there. Just show up. Oh, yeah, I forgot about. Also, zone level was discussed by the county commissioners on the EPA. And some people say, well, why worry about it? But the zone levels is extremely high. It's 78 today. On June 5th and 6th, it was like 74 to 78. Those are 2 days. That's a concern that the level was above what they consider breathing. So anybody with asthma and or any other breathing condition, please stay home. Don't go out. If you're in a car, keep your windows up. Get the air through the car. Other than that, if there's no other business before the council, I'll make a motion the meeting be adjourned.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.